Our first guest has been conducting a series of investment and tax briefings overseas, from Australia to Japan and now in the U.S. He joins us now from New York City. Mon Abrea, Chief Tax Advisor of the Asian Consulting Group. Good seeing you again, Mon, and welcome back to the program. And congratulations on your recent recognition in the Outstanding Filipino Awards.
Thank you, Kati.
All right, so first off, how are our kababayans, our overseas Filipinos, taking this all in, from the government corruption allegations to independent investigation, freeze orders, and calls for tax relief? From where they're at, where in Australia and Japan or the U.S., what are some of the reactions that you're getting on the ground?
Well, from our kababayan, it's quite obvious because we see it on social media. They are not just disappointed, they're really angry, and they really want to put an end to this cycle of impunity. Because we've seen this from the Napoles, the Farmally. There will be investigations, and at the end of it, none of those in power, those with the highest position, and those who continue to abuse their position, either to benefit their family businesses, their political dynasty, nothing has changed. So I guess more than the anger, they really want to see really people behind bars, politicians, corrupt politicians behind bar. And as to our foreign investors, of course, they're quite concerned, especially that how can they trust the government that lured them or that's asking them to invest in a country where there are trillions of pesos which are not being spent properly. And this investigation, the longer it takes, I think the more there will be higher skepticism. And probably, as mentioned by Ambassador Romualdez here in the US, the $100 to $150 billion potential investment will be at risk. And that's just in the US. We're still talking to a lot of investors in Asia, in Australia, in Europe. I think the sentiment is the same. They know there is corruption.
If that's the case, and then $200 billion is the minimum, what could be the range in which we might be at risk when it comes to foreign investments then?
Well, unfortunately, Kathy, as mentioned by Secretary Go, the pledges may not be affected, but the pledges are not necessarily translated to actual investment. I think we have to accept the fact that there has been slowing down, and it's really affected gravely by this scandal, and it will never be pacified by just doing the investigation. We need to show to the world that they will be penalized, that they will be put behind bars, and they will no longer be in government. I think that's the bottom line, because the same names, the same family, political parties will still be seen by the world running the Philippine government. Then how can they even trust us?
What about the 2026 national budget? In terms of trust, the House of Representatives just approved it on third and final reading. It's now sent to the Senate. What do you make of what was included and excluded in its approved version?
I think the Congress should really be more careful, and I was surprised that they passed it as I'm not concerned about the total budget because, you know, Kathy, 20 to 25% of our GDP is government spending. We cannot really just cut it because there is a corruption issue, but the unprogrammed funds, the confidential funds, and we don't even know if there are still insertions. After this, we'll be writing to the Senate Finance Committee, to the chair, Senator Gatchalian, to make sure that they will really scrutinize line by line, because that's the hard-earned money of our taxpayers. So it's not acceptable to me, Kathy, that the unprogrammed funds still exist. But the realignment, I think that's good, that the flood control project budget will be realigned to education, to health. That's good. But also, it's important to maybe consider the direct support to our kababayans, like paying the liabilities of our poor Filipinos in public hospitals or in hospitals around the country, and really keeping the rice at 20 pesos as promised by the president. That will need a lot of funds. Maybe we can consider that rather than a blanket unprogrammed fund, which is in billions of pesos.
Well, apart from those considerations, given the taxpayers' frustration over what's happened to the previous year's national budget and now the 2026 budget, there have been calls for a tax holiday or a pause, as a sort of a stimulus, but not all are in favor. I spoke last Friday with RFID co-convener Ramon Del Rosario Jr., and this is what he had to say. Let's listen in.
Well, first of all, it's very costly to the economy as a whole. Rather than tax holiday, how about corruption holiday? How about a holiday against all of these things that they're doing, all of this patronage politics? How about that? I mean, gosh, There's so much they can do to set things right if only they would set their mind to it, just control their greed.
How about a corruption holiday? That's what he said. But he's also not in favor of any tax holiday, not in favor of lowering the current 12 to 10% VAT. Says they're not solutions because we need these very taxes, but that they are
Actually,
put to
Kathy,
good use. That's what the problem is. So what do you make of it?
Actually, Kathy, I agree that the 1 month income tax holiday is not good because, again, as he said, we cannot pause. The economy will be hurt if we stop collecting taxes. Especially, it will disproportionately benefit those who are earning more, that are paying more taxes. So I think the 1 month income tax holiday is reckless and should be reconsidered. But a possible increase in personal exemption that will benefit the middle income earners, I think that's very probable because majority of our compensation income earners, Kathy, are still below 250,000. Therefore, probably almost 20 million of our employees are income tax exempt under the trade law. So income tax holiday will only benefit those who are making millions, which are less than 2 million of the registered employees. So again, a possible increase in personal exemption is better than a blanket tax holiday. The abolishing VAT is also not is also reckless, but reducing the rate from 12 to 10, honestly, Kathy, I think the DOF should study it, especially that the finance secretary is the one who increased it from 10 to 12. Because the argument of the World Bank is to remove the unnecessary VAT exemptions. Therefore, we're not asking for heaven. We're asking them remove the VAT exemption so that we can afford to reduce the VAT so that the prices will go down, especially that there are so many VAT exemptions which are politically motivated. For instance, the exemption given to PWDs and senior citizens. In Canada, they're given coupons or direct cash transfer, meaning they can get free medicines, free healthcare. I think that's that's less subject to corruption than giving an exemption that is being abused. Senator Gatchalian did a hearing and estimated 88 billion because of fake PWD ID. So ibig sabihin, it's not only the public sector, even the private sector is abusing all these exemptions. So I guess the DOF should consider that so that lahat tayo makinabang. A lower VAT will not crush the economy if it's done wisely, removing the VAT exemptions and reallocating all these benefits to something that will directly target those who we want to benefit, not subject to abuse of whoever wants to take advantage of the gaps in our laws.
We have about a minute, Mon. What do you make of the BIR's plans to tax the online sellers at this point in time?
BIR should stop auditing us. BIR should audit the politicians and the corrupt politicians. They do so much PR. Stop it. Commissioner, stop it. Do your job, audit the politicians. We have trillions of budget from 2017 to 2025. 20% of our GDP is government spending. How come you keep issuing tax clearance? You're not doing your job. Do your job. Audit, not us. Audit the politicians and the corrupt politicians and the contractors, including the campaign donors. Kathy, there's no problem in auditing, but auditing the wrong person over and over again, I think there's something really wrong about it. And there's still corruption in BIR. Don't be a hero. You're not a hero. Do your job. We are paying you. Make sure you prosecute the corrupt politicians because in our tax code, Kathy, there is a perpetual disqualification. Maybe that is our saving grace. If
All
Al
right, well,
Capone case happened, maybe we can disqualify all these corrupt politicians. So come 2028 election, they are no longer part of our ballot.
well, we hear you, Mon, as we know that you've been formerly with the BIR. Thank you so much, and do take care where you are. Mon Abrea of ACG in New York.